Hello world. I'm an unemployed ex-big tech engineer with 25 years of experience in the tech industry. So not that long ago, when I was still employed, my former big tech employer had a company-wide AI hackathon. So the company had invested billions in training and creating their own portfolio of frontier models. This was a massive investment in terms of large language model training and infrastructure build out. So they needed a way to make money off of this investment. So huge numbers of employees were asked to participate in this AI hackathon. So we were supposed to come up with innovations that were bold and transformative, but responsible and collaborative, and so on. The bottom line is to find ways to make the company money with their AI. So I was looking for a team to join in this hackathon, and I bumped into my colleague. Let's call him Danny. Danny was a senior level engineering leader, and he invited me to join his hackathon team. And it appears to be like the A team. There was Jimmy, the Canadian tech lead, hard as nails in terms of code execution. There was Subhash, the H-1B architect, smart as a whip. There was Alex, the junior engineer, who somehow survived the grueling trials of our summer internship program. Finally, there was Lionel, the support team lead with this incredibly charming British accent. By the way, having that upper class British accent is such a strategic advantage when pitching business ideas in tech. I don't know if anybody else realizes this. So our hackathon team got to work and we soon brainstormed an idea. This idea is basically a customer support agent. So for our product line, you have customer support cases that comes in from customers, and normally these cases would be triaged and resolved by a human. Our idea was for this AI agent, which is a large language model enhanced by a RAG, to be able to identify and resolve about 90% of these customer cases. By the way, RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. Think of it as a database of knowledge that allows a generic large language model to be able to answer proprietary industry-specific questions. So the team got down to work, and within about a day, we had a working proof of concept running in a Docker container that we created. So at this point, we decided to review our idea with a business leader who worked within our product line. Let's call him Leo. So Leo is a great guy, but very, very stubborn. After we presented our proof of concept, he kept insisting over and over again that our idea didn't actually do anything, that it didn't solve any business problems. Things got a little bit heated, and I have to admit that I got a little bit frustrated myself. At some point, Leo blurted out that, yes, your agent can handle 90% of customer support cases, but the reality is that remaining 10% of support cases is what's actually taking over 90% of the time of the customer support team. So our solution is more like a glorified FAQ page rather than something that delivers actual business value. To add insult to injury, he mentioned that we have a shiny solution in search of a problem. And it kind of hit me. Even though our company had invested massively in AI and tried to push it into every possible product and feature that we have, in the real world, it's actually kind of hard for AI to deliver real business value. Now it's like our little hackathon experience is being played out across the entire industry. You have these huge AI investments, hundreds of billions, even trillions of dollars invested. But outside of a few niche sectors where training data is freely available and abundant, these investments are chasing very unclear returns in the broader economy. Most AI efforts today are losing money. Massive amounts of money. Suppose you made an API call to ChatGPT. For that call, OpenAI is losing several times the amount of money as they're earning back in revenue. Last time I checked, I think it was like 6 to 7 times the amount of money lost per call. Now, there is a lot of AI hype going on, right? You have your world models, you have your generalized humanoid robots coming online. You have this short and narrow path being pronounced by some towards artificial general intelligence, or AGI. In my opinion, these are all either work in progress items or flat out science fiction that is unlikely to be realized in the extreme near future. If anyone still remembers the internet bubble of the 2000s, right? That was a time where every possible internet idea got funding, at least for a while. But out of all of those ideas, only a few of them ever made money. In my mind, the AI bubble is sort of like the internet bubble, except it's orders of magnitudes bigger. So big tech is spending all this money on AI that they're not getting back in actual revenue. So they have to do all of these tricks to keep up appearances that they're growing AI and thus drive up their stock valuations. Tricks like buying AI-related products from each other to artificially create the image of rising demand for AI. Tricks like doing mass layoffs of US-based resources and saying that it's because of AI efficiencies gained, while simultaneously replacing either partially or mostly these resources in cheaper offshore locations. Tricks like accounting manipulations to show AI income from nowhere. So take, for example, you already have a product that doesn't have AI. This product is already making money. You add an AI feature to it, and all of a sudden the revenue for this product can be marked as AI revenue. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe there's a high likelihood that even the current generation of AI will radically transform the economy and the labor market in the long run, just like the internet did. However, it is unlikely to me that all of these investments will pan out into real productivity gains in the immediate near term, like the next 12 months. But the thing is, those hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars have already been spent. And those investors demand immediate returns in the very near term. So how do I see the AI collapse happening? Well, there's so many different ways that it could happen. And the exact moment is difficult to predict. Maybe one of the weaker AI companies collapses first. So a company like OpenAI that only does AI is much, much less resilient when compared to a tech company that does AI but have other profitable sources of revenue, like Google. Maybe a whale investor panics due to some negative insider information and then decides to cash out. Maybe there's some sort of social or political backlash because people are getting tired of all these data centers raising their utility bills. Who knows? The trigger could be anything. The Mag 7 companies and big tech in general is way, way overvalued. If you look at the S&P 500, the set of 500 largest corporations in the United States, tech is like 40 to 50% of the valuation of the S&P 500. So when these investors figure out that all of their investments are not going to generate those massive returns in the near term, at some point they're going to panic and try to pull out. When that happens, the bubble will burst. So what happens when the AI bubble collapses? Well, I got time on my hands now, so I thought about it a little bit. And here's what could plausibly happen. You could have an AI winter in terms of research and development, where funding dries up, projects are cut, feature sets are dramatically reduced, and just general investment in AI goes way down within the tech industry. There may still be some research happening in the background, but it would be for efficiency gains rather than investing in every possible AI feature. This AI winter could potentially last for years. If a crash happens, it would directly affect big tech. I would expect the market cap of the big tech companies and the Mag 7 companies to be dramatically reduced. This will, of course, have huge downstream impact on all the guys with RSUs and stock options. This would inevitably lead to even more mass layoffs across the tech sector. The jobs being lost would include not only the core AI development jobs, right, but also jobs in adjacent areas like the broader software platforms, products, feature sets across the entire tech industry. If companies are trying to tighten their belts, They could focus on sort of an efficiency mode where they would keep a skeleton crew to support existing platforms onshore while maximizing offshore resources while enhancing their productivity with AI code generation tools. Outside of tech itself, several supporting industries would be affected. Think about all the data centers that are being stood up right now. If a crash happens, work on those data centers would halt. So you have all these downstream industries like semiconductors, electronics, networking, AEC companies. They would all be impacted and potentially all have mass layoffs. Given the vast amounts of money involved, it's totally possible for the contagion to spread outside of the tech sector into the general economy. If you have massive numbers of engineers and techies getting laid off, it would be impossible for some real estate markets and the real estate industry to not be impacted by such an event. The financial sector, due to all of these public and private investments into AI, could stand to lose a huge amount of money. And those guys could potentially be heavily impacted by it. This could even lead to bank collapses. It's even possible for a cascading series of failures to lead to a general economic depression. Major banks could fail given their exposure to such huge investments that then just goes poof. This then may lead to a broader liquidity crisis that affects all other industries. The government could then step in to socialize the bank's losses via money printing, causing massive inflation. Broad swaths of the American economy is already not doing well, even today. If you have both a liquidity crisis and huge amounts of money printing, you could cause entire sectors to go belly up. This could then lead to mass society-wide unemployment, a dramatic decrease in consumption, and even a destabilization of the social order, similar to what happened during the Great Depression. So if this monster AI bubble pops, what can we do as individuals, as software engineers, to protect ourselves and our families? I also gave that some thought and came up with a list of coping strategies. I like to put an emphasis on the cope part of it. So if you still have your engineering job, you can focus on the following. Double down on core engineering and problem-solving skills, right? Companies are paying you for the ability to solve problems. They're not necessarily paying you because you know React and Next.js. Learn to use AI as a tool and incorporate it into your workflow. You can be one of those guys that 10x's their productivity. Grow a T-shaped skill set, right? If you learned ancillary skills in business development, in product development, in project management, in QA, that broadening of skills can help you preserve your position. Now, outside of work, assuming you don't have a whole bunch of savings and investments to allow you to just retire, you should consider doing the following. Beef up your emergency fund. The standard advice of having 6 months of emergency fund is nowhere near enough, in my opinion. I believe we could be entering a period of time where a laid off engineer can go for years without finding another position. So having an emergency fund that can stretch out a couple of years would be very helpful. Reduce your living expenses. Now, for those of you with spouses and children, I know this is hard, but hard times call for hard measures, and it's something that's got to be done. You got to create other income streams. I'm talking about side hustles or businesses that you own that can provide income outside of your primary job. Now, this might sound a bit scary, but I want everyone to keep in mind that this is just the hypothetical musings of a laid-off engineer with a lot of time on his hands. For all we know, the AI crash may never happen, and big tech stocks will all go to the moon and everyone will be rich and happy. So please take everything that I just said with a massive grain of salt. Anyway, I hope my rant on this topic is helpful to you. If you have a morbid curiosity to join me in this life journey, please subscribe to my channel. If you want to support my vlog creation efforts, please consider becoming a member of this channel. Anyway, thanks so much. Talk to you guys later. Bye.